Hi, my name's Karen Brower, and we're going to be doing the fourth of our series of owls. This is the horned owl. If you do like this video, please remember to push subscribe and like Karen Brower Designs on YouTube. And if you want to see any of my Facebook lives, please go to Facebook and like Karen Brower Pearly Designs. Thanks. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to start to bring some shadows into the eyes. So I'm going to use some dark chocolate. We've already based him in. I've transferred a pattern on and blocked him in as per the instructions on my e-pattern. If you are interested in purchasing the e-pattern, you may go to my Etsy store, Karen Brower Designs, and all my pattern packs will be on there. So I'm starting to float the shadows around the eyes with dark chocolate. And float around the eyes with dark chocolate. And again, I never mind if it's a messy float, I call them. We're going to come under the eyes, or this big round part of his eye. Under the beak, under this round section here. A bit of shadow just around here. Just bringing it around. I'm going to pick up bittersweet chocolate. I'm going to bring some bittersweet chocolate around the top here into the shadows. Can't see it very much because this has been base coated in dark chocolate. But we're just putting the bittersweet chocolate here. You can walk it up a little bit. I'm also going to come with watery bittersweet chocolate. Under this hooded eye area, under the beak. And again, I can make it a little bit messy. I'm coming down around this little eye area. Down around here. I am going to come a little bit in this eye area around the eye here. And a little bit around here too. Right, that's our first lot of colours that's going in. While I'm waiting for this area to dry, I'm going to mix a touch of black in with some zinc, or you can use graphite if you have graphite. And I'm going to come and bring some shadow up into the nose. I always like to work areas when I'm waiting for an area to dry. I'll work the other area. Okay, I'm going to come in. Now I'm going to use a filbert, a number 4. I like these black and golds from Dynasty, lovely brush. And we're going to come into some milk chocolate. Now I do push this brush down on that barrel and I wiggle it out. So I'm pushing it into that paint. And then I'm going to lift it straight up. And it's going to create like a little bit of a C in it. It sort of suctions up. You can use your finger and just push it up a little bit. And then we're going to hold this brush vertical and we're going to create little C's on his head. Push it straight up. You see those little C strokes? Sorry if my hand was in the way. Just putting them in. Push down again into your paint, lift it vertically straight up. It's like a little suction cup. And you'll create these little C's. Just popping them in and around the head. Now I'm going to come in with my liner, and you may use any liner that you like. Everyone has a favourite liner. I like a long liner. I can get lots of strokes done then. And I think in the pattern I say go straight to bleach sand, but I'm actually going to do some raw sienna. And I'm going to mix some raw sienna, and I'm going to mix some bleach sand into the raw sienna. And this is the colour that I'm going to use first. And I'm going to use my liner, and I'm going to start to put little hairs on the chest. Sorry, feathers. We are doing a bird. I'll just take my bracelet off. I can hear the clang, 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 clang. I'm just doing short little feathers. Don't make them really long. Just short little feathers on the chest. They can be longer around the eye. So if you have a nice liner and it's nicely loaded, you can get lots of strokes done without having to continually reload. Often I'm told, do you paint fast? But it's because I have good brushes. And when I load, I can get lots of little strokes done before I have to continually reload and pick up. Now, I'm going to turn my piece because I like to pull towards myself. And I'm going to start to flick in some long strokes onto the eye, into this area, curve it around, curve it around. And we're just doing lots of little lines. Now see, I might turn it here just to make sure that I'm doing the directions in the right direction. Just coming around. If I lose my shadow a little bit, I'm not concerned, as I know I'm going to come and float some shadows back. So again, I'll turn my work. I'm going to bring in from this bit into here. Again, I like to make sure I'm heading in the right, the feathers are going in the right direction. Turn your piece if you need to. If we need to turn it back up the other way, we will. Bring it from every Also, I'm going to turn it here so that I can see these little strokes coming in. And then I'll pull some back. Pulling them in. And I am going to, while I've got this colour, look just at some of these little strokes here coming from this part of the eye. And I'll bring some long strokes down. And some little strokes around. Long strokes around. Pulling those strokes in. It's coming into that part of the eye. And I'm going to add some more. You see it's coming from about here in the eye. And coming up. Some of these little long hooded eyebrows in. Starting with the raw sienna and the bleach sand mix. I just think it's a little bit more subtle and coming in too strong with just the bleach sand. I'm going to add some more little ones in here. And once we've got them in, now I'm going to go with the bleach sand. I'm going to have some nice inky, watery. You want it to come off your brush nicely, not in blobs. And I'm going to come with the bleach sand. And start to highlight the little feathers on the chest. When I load the brush too, I always go into the lightest area where I want it lightest first. And as I'm getting less paint on the brush, I'll walk it out to the darker areas. See, I've loaded the brush, I'm coming in where I want it lightest. And as I've got less paint on the brush, I'll still add some colour into these shadow areas, knowing too that I'm going to be putting another wash over it. A little bit of a glaze, so I'm not frightened about putting the colour on. Even if I look at it now and I think, wow, it's too light, it's too light, I know it's not going to be. All right, so I'm going to turn it again. And I'm going to start to bring in some of these feathers. Right, I'm moving my hand, getting the paint to the right consistency that it's going to come off the brush nicely. And I can get these strokes in. See, when you pick up that right consistency, you get lots of these little strokes in. I think I'm going to pull it to the side. And someone's out here. If I think I need just a little bit in there, a little bit here. So I'm pulling strokes. And do the same to this eye, turn it again. And strokes in. All the way around. Loading up, swinging it around. Turning your work. I'm always sort of moving my work. Getting my hand position comfortable. I'm going to add these little feathers up on top of the head here. And these feathers in. Again, turning my work if I need to. And there's little positions around this. Swinging it around here too. Big long strokes. His eyebrows are long. They're not like on the chest where they're a little bit shorter. Sort of exaggerating them a little bit on the eyes too. He's a little bit fictional. Probably out of this one and the red-winged and the Mary are probably just a little bit fictional. The barn owl and the snowy owl are a little bit more probably realistic. I'm going to let all that dry. I'm going to come back with my filbert into the mix of the raw sienna and the bleach sand, making that C stroke, pushing down and lifting. And I'm going to lighten. Some of these, sorry, my hand again. These little strokes in here. I'm going to come with my liner now, and I'm coming back into some saffron yellow. So I'm waiting for areas to dry, and I'm just going to fix my little eyes. So where I might have had some shadow, and put a bit of shadow around the eye. I wasn't worried that it got onto the saffron yellow because I knew that I could come with the saffron yellow and touch it up. And I can come with the lamp black. Touch up the lamp black as well. shadow around that beak if I like. I'm also going to come with that little bit of lamp black and put a bit of shadow just around the edge of the saffron yellow here, or a fine black line. I'm coming around here, just with some of the lamp black. Again, if I get it onto a bit of the saffron yellow, I can come and kick it back. Kick it back. I'm doing all this while I'm waiting for areas to dry. Now this is where I'm going to come. This is where I said I didn't mind if it went light. You can get a little bit of milk chocolate or raw sienna, whichever one that you may prefer, and have it watery. And we can wash a little bit over, like a nice little glaze. And I'm going to wash it into the eyes here. Maybe not the eyebrows too much. You can see, I'll just show, sorry about that, it's so watery, everyone. Very, very, very watery, very transparent. We're not painting the colour back over, we're just putting a nice little glaze over it. You can also put a glaze over the back bit here. And then I'm going to get watery. Not as watery as that. And I'm going to do a float of dark chocolate again, especially in around the eyes. Now if we need to accentuate the shadow here under those eyebrows. This is where we can come in here a bit more. Coming in around. And then we're going to pick up bittersweet chocolate. This is where if you need to come in and bring a bit more shadow onto the head to sink it back, you can. Well, I've got that bittersweet chocolate in my brush. I'm also going to add a little bit of shadow just here and here. Definitely see if I need a little bit more shadow down in between these eyes. I'm definitely going to come with that bittersweet chocolate in here. And around again. Bit of bittersweet chocolate under here. We're sinking areas back. Definitely look into here. I want to hood these eyes up. I'm coming in deep into this shadow area in here again. Creating that real little hooded look. We can come and bring that in as many times as we like. If we need, if we go a little bit light with our next lot of colours again, we can bring that back in. So looking at where our lights might be, where we might need to add any other colour. I'm going to grab some milk chocolate and I'm just going to bring a little bit of shadow up into this top bit of the eye here, and under here. I'm just going to end these shadow areas in here. And you can deepen that too if you like. Depends on how dark you want your eyes to be with a little bit of bittersweet chocolate. Sinking them back. definitely want to bring a bit more shadow just in this bit in here. Put in that bit just a little bit. Again, this is where I can look at if I need to bring any black up higher, if I need to darken anywhere. I'm not happy with a shape. Now I'm going to mix a bit of saffron yellow with 24 karat gold. As I did little Christmas owls, I sort of like to add the gold. And I'm going to bring that into what I would call as the light area. Cross in here, we're just lightening into some of the shadow. Just a nice little shimmer. I'll add it into here too. Just shimmering in. So I keep working in areas while they're wet. I'm going to let them dry. So then I'll come in with a bit of zinc and add white to it. You could use slate grey. You can just mix black and white together and make various shades of grey. And I'm just going to lighten the centre of his little beak. Keeping the shadows on the outer edge. Just lightening in this middle section. Because we want it to look curved. Okay, tapping down into here. Now, if you do go too light, remember you can always get some zinc with a bit of black or some graphite, and darken. Now I'm going to pick up some raw sienna and that bleach sand. And this time I'm going to add 24 karat gold. Depends on how light. Again, this is your owl. If you don't want him as bright as this, if you want him not as bright, just adding a bit more bleach sand. I do want that a little bit lighter. Wasn't really seeing that there. That's better. Maybe even a little bit lighter. I mean, again, you can do a few different layers. So we're adding some little light feathers back. Again, on this little chest area, you're keeping the strokes very, sorry, that had a bit too much moisture in that water in the paint. You're keeping it very short, little thin strokes. Just tapping it into the shadows. Now you don't have to add the gold. I just like the shimmer that it sort of gives, especially after when you varnish. You can use a triple thick varnish, a high gloss varnish for these little baubles. Or you could just use a satin varnish. Okay, so we're just putting a little bit of colour back there, and then I'm going to come and start again, just highlighting these eyes. So again, I'm turning my work. And you're going in the shadows less, just a really light stroke. Now, if you walk it too far up again and you end up losing any of the shadows in your eyes, around your eyes, you can come and float shadows back and then just add a few more highlights. If your layers are thin, it doesn't matter how many layers that you do. And if you end up with really thick layers and that you're actually you're losing the colours, that you're losing the different shades that you might work on. It doesn't matter if you're adding lots of layers, as long as you can see each layer that you've been putting down. It'll tend to look more realistic if you do that. Okay, so we've started this around here. Now we're going to do this other eye. And then we will, again, you can see I'm watching my directional stroke. I do a soft flick. I'm sorry if my hand is in the way. I do apologise. See where the shadow is? I'm just doing some fine little thin ones. They're nowhere near as bright as where I want them on the brightest part of the eye, the lightest part. I'll come into the shadow area, maybe with some strokes, but they'll be fine. I'll hardly have any paint. Remember, I'm going to load my paint where I want it brightest, and then as I have less on my brush, I'll come into those areas. So again, I'll highlight some of these long. Now, remember that the eyebrows on the top of the eye are quite accentuated. I really wanted these to pop. I'm pulling some around here. Pulling them around here. Bringing this one in up the top. I'm pulling this one in at the top here. Set where you might put one where you don't want it, just like that. Use your finger and rub it away. If I need to, I'll bring a bit of shadow back in there. Pulling those little bushy feathers up the top. And this is again your owl. I keep saying this. I know that you can actually make them as hooded as you like or as light as you like. I am going to come with some of that light colour though that I've got, and I'm just going to hit some little light bits just in that bleach sand along this little bottom edge here too, and just a few along this little bottom edge too. That's better. I just like to pop those little eyes out a little bit there. But I do really like twisting these, adding these little hooded bits. Again, you can use some of that mix that you've just got. You want to use your filbert, push down, lift up. And we're just going to hit a few little highlight bits onto him. Also going to use that mix or even just the bleach sand, and I'm going to add some little feathers up on these little tufts of feathers. They look like little horns, but they're actually just a little tougher feather. Just going to add some of those on. And I'm going to come with a little bit of white. I'm just going to dry brush a little bit here, a little bit down here, opposite to where my highlights are going to be. I'm also going to use a bit of that white. And again, I'm going to highlight that little beak. Again, in that middle section where I want it to look. Lightest. Now for his eyes. Rather than do a perfect circle, I'm going to moisten with some water where I would like it to go. I'm going to pick up a little bit of white and I'm going to tap it into that wet area and it will blur out. You'll get a lovely little bullseye. Just going to pick up a little bit more and tap it in. So that we're getting a nice blurry edge. We're not coming in with a stylus or the end of a brush and creating, oh, sorry, wrong brush, and creating a perfect dot. You just want it to be moist. Coming in with that titanium white. And we're going to get a nice little blurry dot there for the highlight in that eye. This is where you can look at it. Okay, I am going to come with 24 karat gold and I'm going to dry brush some onto the highlight part of the bauble. I'm also going to come with a bit of white and I'm going to highlight it. And this is where you can decide if you still want to add more light in the chest. Please remember that the chest, you do not want the chest to be lighter than these eyes. You sort of want those eyes to pop out. This is the center of interest here, this nice hooded eye bit. Now I paint the backs just with a red or a color, or if you really want to, you could paint the backs to look like the back of the head. So to do that, I would base coat in dark chocolate. So I would do it in dark chocolate. Then I would come with some bittersweet chocolate. And bring my shadows in. Thinking that the back of the head is going to be like this top part here. And then I would use my filbert, pushing down in that milk chocolate or raw sienna, adding those C's. This is a number 4 filbert. I mean, realistically, I think I would probably like to do a number 6 and have them a little bit bigger. Then lighten them up with the light mix. And then do the wash over, just sort of like what we did with this section here. If you wanted it to look like the back of the owl, that's what you could do. But I just add glitter on mine or do something like that. But some people have asked me about the back of the ornaments, so I think that's a bit of fun. Now, if you like this video, please push subscribe. It's free. And if you're interested in my Facebook page, it's Karen Brower Pearly Designs. And this week we'll be painting this little same owl, but as a cut-out ornament holding a little candy cane. Next week will be our snow owl. I really do thank you all for joining me, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you all next week. Thanks. Bye.